Hello there, math people. Today we are taking a look at solving one-step equations. And the thing we have to remember about equations is that equations have equal signs. Expressions don't, equations do. And whatever happens to be on one side of the equation has to be equal or equivalent to what's on the other side. Okay? So they have to be balanced. Okay? Now, when we solve any type of equations, we are going to use inverse operations. Okay? Inverse operations. And what does inverse mean? Well, we have talked in the past that inverse means opposite. So we're going to use opposite operations. And there's a goal. When we're solving equations, the goal is to isolate the variable. Now, the variable, you should remember, is the letter that represents a number. And the word isolate means to get it by itself. So we want to get the letter by itself to find out what its value is. Let's start by looking at a simple one-step equation. X plus 3 equals 5. What does that mean? Well, that means some number plus 3 equals 5. And you could probably tell me what that is, but we're going to use algebra to solve this. So I'm going to draw a line down through my equal sign. And what I see here is that this is some number plus 3. I'm going to use the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides of my equation. And when I do that, positive 3 and negative 3 cancel each other out to make 0, and x plus 0 is just x. And 5 minus 3 is 2. And so, using algebra, we have shown that x equals 2. Now, we can use a check. We'll say now that we know that x is 2, we put 2 back in for x, and we go, okay, well, 2 plus 3, does that equal 5? Well, yeah, of course. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 equals 5. It all checks out. Everybody's happy. Everything's right with the world. We are good to go. So that's an addition equation that we solved using inverse operations. Let's try something a little bit different. All right? Let's try a new equation. 1/4 is equal to x minus 5/8. Ooh, fractions. First things first, I'm going to put a line down through my equal sign because we have to keep everything balanced on one side or the other. Now, you can see in this one we are subtracting. We have to undo that subtraction. So we're going to use the inverse of subtraction, which is addition. So we're going to add 5/8. But we had to add 5/8 to both sides of the equation. Now, negative 5/8 and positive 5/8, they cancel each other out, and we are left with just x over here because x plus 0 is x. But what is 1/4 plus 5/8? Well, let's see, 1/4 plus 5/8. And we have to find a common denominator, which is 8. So 5/8 stays 5/8. 4 times 2 is 8, so 1 times 2 is 2. So it becomes 2/8 plus 5/8. So that is 7/8. So 7/8 equals x, or we can turn it around and say x equals 7/8. Now, we found the solution. Let's go back and make sure that that's correct. So we check it and we say, okay, 1/4, we rewrite the equation. 1/4 equals 7/8, because that's how much x is, minus 5/8. And 7/8 minus 5/8, let's see, the denominator is 8. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2/8. Does that equal 1/4? Well, let's see. If I divide both of these by 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So yeah, 1/4 equals 1/4. Everything checks out. We're good. We have solved the equation. X equals 7/8. Okay. Now let's try another one. Now this equation is it's going to be a multiplication equation. So I'm going to start with 3x equals 2.4. Now 3x, remember when you have a letter next to a variable, like for example 2p, that's the same thing as saying that's 2 multiplied by p. And so what's the inverse? Make sure we have our line here. What is the inverse of multiplication? What's the opposite of multiplication? It is division. So I have to divide by 3. Divide both sides by 3. Because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1 times x is just x. So this is x. And 2.4 divided by 3, well, let's see here. 2.4 divided by 3. 3 goes into 2 0 times. Decimal, 3 goes into 24 8 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 minus 24 is 0. There we go. X is 0.8. Okay. So is that the right answer? Well, let's hope so. We'll put that, we're going to check it. We have to verify our solution by putting our value in for x back into the original equation. And that equation would be 3 times 0.8. Does that equal 2.4? All right, well, 0.8 times 3. 8 times 3 is 24. Carry the 2. 0 times 3 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. We have one number after the decimal, so we have to have one number after the decimal in our answer. And there you have it. 3 times 0.8 is 2.4, and 2.4 equals 2.4. We are good. That works. We found the solution to our multiplication equation. All right, well, let's take a look at one more. A division. X divided by 2/5 equals 1/3. All right, we'll put our equal line through here so we can keep everything balanced. Now, because x is being divided by 2/5, we have to divide by 2/5. Or sorry, we have to multiply by 2/5. Sorry, multiply by 2/5. Now, if something is being divided by and multiplied by the same thing, they cancel each other out, and that leaves us with just x. But we also have to multiply the other side of the equation by 2/5. And remember, we multiply fractions straight across, so 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 5 is 15. So 2/15 is x. Well, then, yes, you guessed it, we have to make sure that our answer is correct. So I'm going to put this 2/15 back into my original equation for x. So that would say 2/15 divided by 2/5. Does that equal 1/3? Well, let's go over here. 2/15 divided by 2/5. That's the same thing as 2/15 times its reciprocal, which is 5/2. Multiply straight across. 2 times 5 is 10. 15 times 2 is 30. Simplify that by dividing both of those by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 30 divided by 10 is 3. And that's 1/3. So yes, 1/3 does equal 1/3. We have found the solution. We verified our solution by checking it, by putting it back into the original equation, and we have solved 4 different types of one-step equations. Remember to always verify your solution by substituting the answer you got back in for your variable and checking it. And you are good to go. Remember to do the practice work and get your teacher's signature when you're done. Have a great day. Don't forget to be awesome.